There is a thin wall between our world and that of the Fae. The passions and emotions stirred by violence and combat bleed over, and the supernatural often awakes from long slumber to meddle in mortal affairs. There have always been those among us willing to meet the supernatural threat. They are the men and women of Joint Task Force 13. They hold the line between heaven and hell. JTF 13 from Three Ravens Publishing. Available on Amazon.
(1954), the year of the asteroid, the year of change.
Oh.
1954, the year of the asteroid, the year of change. It altered the world forever. People began to develop unexplained abilities. Biological, enhanced, nascent talents seemed to appear at random, while others, well, they were just bent. In '58, Alexander Lloyd became America's most wanted criminal, and today he is still at large, but it's much more difficult to hide, and it's becoming harder to do what he does. Annoyed with Lloyd, Book 1 in the Bent series by Christopher Woods, narrated by Deborah Beaucoeur, available from Three Ravens Publishing on Amazon.
War, the only constant in the ever-changing landscape of Ram. For millennia, the dwarves of the Southlands have battled against their ancient foes, the Sallowskins, who occupy the nation of Garthon Tor to the north. When a massive horde invades, the irascible bard Omens prepares to flee the Golden Keep, content to let others do the fighting. Through a cruel twist of fate, he is forced to accompany Princess Medin in a diplomatic mission to summon aid. Can they get help in time and save the Golden Keep? From the world of the Raven and the Crow, discover the adventure that awaits in The Dwarves of Ram, Omens of War. Written by Michael K. Falciani, narrated by Harry Frost. Available from Three Ravens Publishing on Amazon.
Hey there, stranger. You looking for a good time? That's not what you were expecting. Well, it's too late to back out now. Here comes TDB Pirate Radio.
Hello and welcome to another edition of TDB Pirate Radio. I'm your host, William Joseph Roberts. Tonight we're going to be talking about Car Wars and the fiction series, The Car Warriors, that we are going to jump into and have some fun with. So we got a decent panel here tonight. I don't know if anybody else is going to jump in. Well, if you want to start around, let's go ahead and introduce everybody. Steve, you want to start off?
Sure. I'm Steve Jackson. I originally wrote the game along with Chad Irby, who gets full credit for the idea after a bad day on the freeway. And I still publish it.
Irene.
Hi, I'm Irene Zielinski. I work for Steve doing TikToks and some miniature painting, and I really like Car Wars.
Well, we can skip that Woods guy. He's a hack author anyway.
I'm Christopher Woods. You're not skipping me. I'm Christopher Woods. I've written a few books, and I I was really thrilled when he asked me to be a part of the Car Wars thing. I think it's really interesting, and I think it's going to be a fun world to play in.
All right, Ben.
Hi, Benjamin Tyler Smith. I've written a couple of post-apocalyptic novels in Christopher Wood's Fallen World series, as well as short stories in various fantasy and sci-fi venues, and I am really excited to be writing in the Car Wars universe. I've got a couple of interesting ideas cooked up that I think y'all are going to love.
Your turn, Marisa.
Okay, I don't want to just jump in. Maybe there's someone backstage. Hi, I'm Marisa Wolf. I am a science fiction and fantasy author. I like to get my grubby little hands on all the corners of the universes. So I am pumped to do some auto dueling.
All right, so real quick, I am off on a writing retreat this weekend, and my goal is to knock out 20 to 25,000 words on my first Car Wars novel, Burning Roads. So far, Steve has liked the outline and general ideas with a few comments, but we're cranking right along, and I'm hoping to get about a third of the book done over this weekend.
That'll be awesome.
Now, for my author friends out there who are cheapskates just like me, a little bit of liquid inspiration. That right there I found for like $7, and it is tasty with heavy vanilla. And that Patty's Irish whiskey, oh, it's tasty, and it's about a mid shelf. It's about $15. So if you like your whiskeys and you like your rums, go for that. So okay, so you said this started out as an idea by one of your people had a bad day on the freeway. I've not heard that story, Steve.
Oh, okay. Chad was a cyclist, and we were both active in the Society for Creative Anachronism at the time. And Chad showed up at fighter practice one day, just pulling off his leather jacket and cursing and muttering and so on. And he said, boy, if I'd have had a machine gun on my bike, I would have used it. You ought to make a game like that. And I said, Chad, I think I could make a game out of that, but it was your idea, so you get first crack at it. Which is what I always say when somebody hands me a really good idea out of nothing. First I try and get them to do it, and usually they don't. But Chad showed up a couple of months later with an actually playable design, and that's why his name is on that original box ahead of mine.
Okay. All right, we had a couple people that were having technical issues, so Michael, do your introduction real quick.
How's that? Does it work?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, I'm Michael J. Allen, Star-Lord, Crackpot, and USA Today best-selling author of full-spectrum science fiction fantasy. Today I am understudying for one of the three blind mice from Shrek Not So Live.
And Dave, one of Three Ravens' newest authors.
I'm Dave Hensley. My wife insists that I be called David, so I'm David. The newest guy at Three Ravens. I've got exactly one story to my name, which turned out to be a pretty good one. And I'm just really excited to be a part of this project.
Okay.
I have been sent that story, and I agree it's a good one. Write more.
Thanks.
And it looks like we lost Michael again. I guess he's having connection issues. Well, when the initial idea started up, and I can understand. I mean, I ride too, and you got to ride to expecting everyone wants to kill you. I mean, it's just a given because nobody sees a motorcycle half the time.
That's the reason why I drive a station wagon. I've got a lot of steel.
It doesn't matter. My sister was driving my car, which is a full-size sedan, and a guy in a Hummer backed into her, did serious damage, and jumped out going, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Full-sized sedan.
Yeah. Well, from that initial idea, how many iterations did you go through before you finally published Car Wars?
Many, many, many.
I have no idea on the game side of things how things actually work. So,
well, you play it, and anything that doesn't work, you try to fix, repeat until it's fun. Or if it starts off fun but takes too long, repeat until it's fun and short.
Okay.
But we changed a lot of things. We changed most things in Chad's original draft, but we didn't change the basic idea of the grid movement system. And he gets full credit regardless because he turned in something that worked. If I had changed everything, which I did not, I still would have wanted to give him credit.
Yeah. Well, Irene, you're a self-proclaimed Car Wars fanatic. So what is it that draws you into this?
So I don't know. I saw it, I think, advertised in the back of one of my other Steve Jackson Games books or something, as a kid. And I had the box that looks like that. Okay. And never really managed to get it to work. I didn't have anybody to play with at the time. I got the Car Wars card game, kind of looked at GURPS Auto Duel, and really didn't get... I loved the idea of it, but when I played Car Wars 6th Edition for the first time at a trade show, I was immediately hooked. I was like, this is what I wanted when I heard the description of this. It was dramatic. And so I have been, running a lot of Car Wars demos with 6th Edition. I love painting the cars, and I just love how fast it plays.
Okay.
And stuff blows up.
Yes.
So much.
Well, and I've told you, Steve, I didn't play Car Wars back in the day. I was one of those guys that played Battletech. And as I've been researching through the information that you've given us, it's like it's the same type of game. And I love strategy games. Absolutely love them. Because it makes you think ahead, a couple of moves at minimum. Playing chess, you got to think ahead a couple of moves. And I started digging into it. It was like, oh, wow. And, the dashboards on the 6th edition, that makes all the math stuff so much easier, because that was one thing that always took forever was you had to do all the math between rounds and between moves so you can figure things out. But that dashboard on the new one, that makes things so much quicker and you can get the gameplay moving along. So that's something that I really, really enjoyed on that. We haven't got the authors to play down here yet. We had a few of us playing down here before one of the meetings recently, but I don't think any of y'all have played it yet, have you?
I was just thinking we should do that at LibertyCon this year.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That'd be so much fun.
I'll bring the double drum.
Oh, I'm down for that. I'll be there.
Is anybody going to Nerdy Draw?
Yeah, I would guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll get some playing in there too.
Absolutely. I think everybody here pretty much is going to be at Liberty. So yeah, I'll get in on that one.
I should have my book turned in by then as well, so that'll be exciting.
Well, awesome. I've played exactly one time, and that was Hillbilly
came. Oh yeah, that's right. We were up at Rich's place.
Went up to Tish and Rich's place, and we played one game up there, which I won.
Yeah,
by accident.
Lots of accidents happen.
We killed Hillbilly pretty quick.
Oh yeah, they totally decimated me, and I was left just hanging there doing nothing while they were finishing each other off. It was a lucky shot, man.
It was great though. They had me immobilized and everything, and then they were all lining up their shots, but I still had guns. And if they could shoot me, I could shoot them, and I got to go first.
Yep.
So they all died. It was great.
Yeah.
I beat Rich Groller in a game.
That's a good trick.
It is. I was impressed. I haven't played again because I'm afraid.
Always go out on top.
We got some comments coming in.
Okay, leave at the top there.
Well, let's see. Yeah, let's start off ladies first. Marisa, what inspired your story idea?
Oh, now I have to think what I can talk about without spoilers.
Yeah, try not to give too many spoilers. Just enough to.
Hey, Doug. Okay, for me, so my husband is from deep South Louisiana, and the ability of his family members to make things work that have no business working, and to build things out of scrap was pretty much my inspiration for my team, my karmas, karma. And so they've got like a deep woods, deep swamp weaponsmith who's been just very scavengy and putting things together her whole life. And a driver who, again, no spoilers, but was raised by an auto jeweler father and has picked up the family business for reasons. It's just a lot of fun, like just that sense of the like survivors and scavengers and ability to handle their business even in a wasteland of some of my South Louisiana family people was a big inspiration for this. Also, they drive like wild people, and I respect that.
Well, now I got to mention that Marisa is going to be working with one of the novels in the main arc that we're doing. The main arc story, if you've ever watched Death Race or Cannonball Run, we're going along those lines on a road rally cross country, and there's going to be lots of twists and turns, and y'all find out the details here as we're going. But Marisa, Ben, Woods, myself are writing in the main arc. There is going to be an anthology, and I'm not going to give away names until I've got stories in hand for sure.
But it's very exciting.
Oh, baby, if we get all those stories.
The names I've heard so far are great.
Yeah. So, there's going to be an anthology we're planning on a release at Dragon Con or just before so that we can hopefully have books available at Dragon Con. But Dave and Michael will be writing in that with us. Ben will have a short and Chris will have a short too. Were you doing one, Marisa? I think you were. No? Okay. I couldn't remember. I got so many moving parts right now.
I probably can if you need me to, but I think you said you were all set, so I am good.
But the initial plan, and right now it's looking like we've got enough authors for a 21-book main arc with each of us doing trilogies. So that's 7 authors. And after that, we'll have another series that's backing up to that, following on what's happening in the world.
That's incredibly ambitious, but I'm rooting for you.
Oh, yeah. I want to shoot for it because I think we can do it, and it's going to be beautiful because this is just fun. I mean, post-APOC, you get to blow things up. There's cars, and, it satiates that gearhead in me. So, oh, yeah, this is good. But we'll also have side stories in the universe, touching base on other parts of it, other bits of the arena battles and other rallies that aren't taking part in the main story arc that we're working on. So it'd be interesting to see how this fleshes out. But let's see, Marisa, Michael.
Yes.
Give a little idea without too much on what you're playing with.
Well, I think my characters need to be friends with Marissa's characters because it sounds like they're definitely going to get along. So at one point, I want to say it was the late 90s, I played an MMO, which was very similar to Car Wars, where basically your avatar was a car and you had weapons and you blew people up and ran missions and whatnot. And of course, Death Race and Cannonball Run and the rally race, the Casa Cristo from Speed Racer. And there's just so many cool car combats. The idea for my team lead and my team actually kind of hit me sideways. And she's very much, she and her team are very much the scavengers that Marissa's are. So she is the Mad Max Hatter, mechanic to the cars. And again, not to spoil too much, she's rolling around the country scavenging in a converted amphibious military assault platform that's now a mobile garage. So all kinds of hijinks, all kinds of going in places where nobody else has tried to scavenge, purposefully letting herself be trapped and ambushed so that she can pick up new parts or clean up the scum of the roads. And she's got quite the interesting crew to go along with the Tortuga, her vehicle. So,
all right, Woods.
Yeah. Well, my character came from when I looked at the map, I was like, oh Lord, right where I live is the Lawless Lands. So of course I'm going to start right in the middle of the Lawless Lands. And I've got a guy, he works the road crews out of Knoxville, and they patch the roads, and they've got guards to protect the road crews. And it's a very dangerous job because raiders tend to hit. They want supplies moving very slow. They don't want them moving fast. They don't want the roads fixed because that way they can hit supplies if they want them. People are assholes. What do you do? And so he's part of this road crew, and they get attacked, and he ends up by the end of this little segment, he ends up blackballed by the company, and he goes back home to Eastern Tennessee, and he's just north of Knoxville in New Tazewell, and he's got an ex-girlfriend there that he finds out she has ALS, and one of the things that they use as a draw to get them to go for this race is a package to Gold Cross, which is if you die, they upload you back into a clone. So he's got this plan to actually make it where she can live on. Even if her body starts collapsing, she's got a way to live on. And that's what forces him into the whole auto-dueling thing, which he's not really a fan of to begin with. And I won't go any further than that into it because I don't want to give away what's going on with the race and everything.
Okay. Well, I know Ben's got to cut out here a little bit early because he's got to take care of bedtime with the baby. So go ahead, Ben. Give us a little idea of what you're playing with.
Okay, I can do that. If y'all need to shut me up, feel free to. So when I first dug into the Car Wars lore, I initially thought it was going to be completely post-apocalyptic, like Mad Max, but with corporate sponsorship. And while there's some truth to that, it's not the full story. It's a mix of dystopian and utopian, with some cities and locations that are complete horror shows, while others are doing very well for themselves. There's enough food for pretty much everybody, whether you're in the mega cities or you're out in the slums, and free access to education. Yet the roads between many of those cities are completely lawless. There's a duality there that I've found just very fascinating to dig into. So the trilogy I'm writing, the Maverick Maidens trilogy, will be about the racing duo Glitz and Blam, real names Garnet and Beryl. The two couldn't come from different walks of life if they tried, and this will help showcase that duality. Garnet is the young heiress to a once powerful automotive company, and yes, I'm reading this, I've got toddler brain right now, a company that's been in dire financial straits since it fell into the hands of her out-of-control mother following her father's suspicious death in the arena. She refuses to watch as her family legacy is burned away due to her mother's gambling addiction and has made a bet with her mother. If I win this race, the company's mine. Beryl, on the other hand, hails from a small village out in the Mojave that subsists on algae farming. That's the one of the primary food sources in this world for one of the region's big corporations. And from an early age, she's understood the need for scrounging, making do, and being handy with a gun. She's a rare talent with both a gun and a wrench, and she has greater ambition than staying in that village, but she can't leave because she owes so much to her family and her community. The two characters meet in the short story I'll be doing at a time when Garnet's company was in a much better position and Beryl's was plagued by bandits. Beryl's region was plagued by bandits. Garnet was flying overhead, and when she sees Beryl's freshwater convoy come under attack, swoops in, don't want to go into details, but they somehow save the day, drive the bandits away, and they part ways there. Well, at the beginning of the book, Garnet has come back into Beryl's life seeking a mechanic and gunner in the race. Her mother's seen to it that no one will join her through the usual channels, and there's a price out in her head for less than savory types to jump at. She needs someone she can trust. She needs Beryl. And that's where I'm going to leave it at. I think it's going to be a fun ride with the two of them from totally different classes having to bond as they clash and try to stay alive.
I like the playing up of the duality because, yeah, you're right. There are some things about this world that are very, very good compared to today's world. On the whole, we'd hate it, but we're privileged. You know, those of us on this panel watching this show, we're probably not missing many meals.
No.
And in the
Been there, done that,
world,
though.
in the autoduel world, nobody has to miss a meal because they've got algae farming down pat. They had to get it down pat because of very bad years that the world went through. But that's one thing that's covered. Likewise, as he said, education is free for anybody who wants to reach out and take it. The trouble is so many people don't. And the corporations are kind of in a lose-lose situation. On the one hand, it's nice to have a big ignorant audience watching the death sports all the time. On the other hand, who are they going to hire to run their computers and their cars if there's not an educated class?
That is an excellent point.
We have dichotomies that the current world doesn't face. This is a fiction, and I like what you're doing there.
I appreciate that.
Dave.
So my story, sort of the inspiration for the story when I got asked to be part of the project, this idea popped in my head, this idea of a guy who was, used to be a legend. And so the story is going to follow the arc of a man by the name of Robert Fulton Henry. His auto-dueling name, his auto-duel handle was Bobby Hank. And he was known as the Pale Rider because he was pretty darn deadly as a gunner. And he's famous in the auto-duel circles for still being in his original meat. He's never been downloaded into a clone. And he's pushing 50 years old since his, getting into the auto-duel world.
Just a kid.
Yeah, he left auto-dueling about 10 years back because his wife became beset with this terrible affliction called clone download rejection syndrome. It's incredibly rare, almost happens to nobody, but it happened to her, and she was his driver. And he just doesn't trust anybody else behind the wheel. Well, he gets pulled back into auto-dueling, into the Dead Man's Run, into this cross-country rally because, well, they need somebody to bring fans back to the sport. And just about every kid in his neck of the woods grew up with a Bobby Hank auto-duel, baseball, auto-dueling card. And, he's a highly, at one time he's kind of like the Mickey Mantle of auto-duel in his neck of the woods. And so his old pal Gordo lures him back to auto-duel with the promise of a big enough payday to treat his wife's problem. And so Bobby recruits his neighbor and genius mechanic to mechanic for him and drive because she's got some skill as a driver and she's about the only person he kind of halfway trusts.
Do we ever get to meet the wife, Catherine?
Catherine shows up in the back half of book 2.
Okay.
And has a rather interesting role to play in book 3.
Interesting is good.
That sounds like a good story.
I'm excited by that, Dave.
Well, that'll be a good contrast because we've got stories about up-and-comers and you've got a story about a comeback.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of these third act sort of heroes. David Gemmell did a story called a novel called Winter Warriors that was all these old, these warriors, these heroes that had gotten old and still found a way to be of use and to be of value in their culture, standing up against the forces of evil. And ever since I read that probably 10, 15 years ago, man, I just really got hooked on this sort of second, third act, guy used to be a legend. Well, maybe he's going to be a legend again, which is why this series title is Chronicle of a Once and Future Legend.
Did you read David Gimmel's Legend, the one about Druss the Legend?
Oh yeah, I've chewed up everything that I could get my hands on about Druss. Like, hands down, one of my most favorite heroes in fantasy.
Agreed.
The Old Man's War series.
Great.
John Scalzi, yeah.
That's a good series.
Got a very nasty world going there.
Yep.
Now, the opening of that entire series was kind of interesting. It's like, wait, they've all got young bodies again. Yeah.
Yeah, every old beat-up guy's dream.
Yeah. All right, so my story ended up getting a little bit of rework on the start of it, but my main character, Ricky Turner, he ends up in a race that ends up getting him killed off. And because of his reboot, he's stuck in a contract that he can't get out of. And Johnny B, his agent / lawyer, has him between a rock and a hard place. So he's going to have to keep racing to get this debt paid off so he can get out of this and get out from under Johnny B. Lots of character building in this with a couple of the side characters. I don't know. One was influenced by a buddy of mine that I just want to put in there and have him have this beautiful retribution arc. Well, not retribution, but a healing arc for him.
Redemption was
redemption. There we go. There's the word. Stupid word.
What your brain was trying to do.
Words are hard, man.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. We're at 8:30. That's not bad. We're halfway hour in.
Yeah, we've been going great, and it's still have to come.
What's some of your favorite things about this universe, Steve? I mean, everything from over the years to the newest one. What's some of your favorite bits?
Well, I still have my teenage love of blowing stuff up real good. I like the uncomplicated combat games sometimes. So there's that. In the game world, I like the variety of it and the fact that around another corner there's still going to be room for more. We sorted out most of North America, and that's really enough to give everybody room. If somebody wanted to go to Europe, I think I'd have to tell them good luck because we don't know much except that it's still there. Obviously, radio works and so on, but there's not a whole lot of commerce. Not as much need for commerce as there used to be because now every place can be self-sufficient on food, which is still the huge item of commerce that it is. I like the cyberpunk and post-apoc backgrounds. I like them working together. And I like the thematic thing that someone pointed out years ago, which is to get a good Car Wars story, you have to tell a good Western and then make it cyberpunk.
Yep.
Well, one of the vibes that I really like about this, I was telling you on a call last night, I've had this itch to do something like a 60s rally race where the characters are spies and they're going from point to point kind of thing. But it's pulling in those gearhead moments, the race moments, and getting to write in this is really scratching that itch because I get to play with those bits. And anybody that's read any of my stuff, they've seen I do the action race, or well, not really race, driving or flying scenes, depending on what I'm writing. And I like to bring in those elements of the car moving, shifting the gears and making the passenger try to grab that $100 bill off the dash kind of thing. Just, I don't know, this way I was raised, around cars and doing stupid stuff.
He wrote all the driving scenes in Smuggler's Run. I wrote the fighting scenes.
Yep. Well, Irene, you had some stuff to show off and talk about for the new edition, 6th edition of Car Wars.
I mean, yeah, I've got a couple cars around. I think these capture the imagination. I don't know if my camera will focus on them. This might be a non-starter.
Now, which car is that?
Oh boy, Steve, do you know the name?
Is that the edition with them printed on the bottom? I can't even focus well enough to see it for sure. Okay, the 3D printed ones have the name on the bottom. It's just in the packaging.
That'll be useful.
No, I'm not enough of an expert to tell you.
This will show up better. I've also been working on some terrain and really trying to take inspiration from some local highways. So we've got some buildings coming for all the convention games we're running this spring.
That's cool.
Yes, I'm sure Rock City will be pleased to know they're still around in the future and still buying ads on barns.
Or at the very least, at least one of those barns is still standing.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So it's been maintained.
Yeah, there's more than a few of them around here that's still standing with all that plastered on them. What's some of the upcoming bits that you've got going on? You've got new cars coming out.
New car. We just finished a Kickstarter for a 3D set, a set of files to let people print out the cars and lots of additional weapons that they can glue on. And it went kind of crazy toward the end, so we're going to do another one.
Okay. That is so cool.
Yeah, that's
also, you can take the guns and convert like any sort of toy cars, like Matchbox, Hot Wheels cars. So any model cars, you can really get creative with them.
Well, there's a couple of groups on Facebook that I've seen. I can't think of the names right off, but they're taking and like Matchbox cars and modifying them, cutting them up. Just like you do miniatures for D&D. Custom setups.
There's a game called Gaslands.
That's it. That's one of
Car Wars. It's a very good game, and the fandom of that is largely into the chopping up and reassembling cars.
Yeah, kit bashing.
I know they're following what we've been doing, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I do a lot of 3D printing stuff, and you can take those little bits that you've included with those files, and you can, if you're halfway handy with some of the basic 3D modeling software, you can merge all that stuff together in the software, kit bash it together there, and print it out, however you want. And that stuff is super cool. That's
definitely the wave of the future. And imagine how good that technology will be by the time that you're writing about.
Oh yeah, you can 3D print, anything really.
Pretty much, if you've got the feedstock for it.
Yeah.
Which the current date in series that we're working with is 2072. So everything that has been printed so far on the Car Wars universe becomes canon history that we can play with, and we've got heroes out there and the great drivers and gunners of years gone by. They're like the Dale Earnhardts and stuff like that we can pull from. The one that really stuck with me out of all the data I was digging through, it ended up being Midville.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you had this one location that was just a badass little town up in mid-Ohio. So what was it? Between Akron and Toledo, I think is where it is on the map. And just how they kept everything under control and kept all the bad guys out.
They just refused to be overrun when other places were.
And what was it? There were 3 modules, I think, on the original game.
There was one main module. It had 2 names at different times. We accidentally stepped on somebody's trademark and had to change the name.
Okay. And that's going to get pulled in a little bit on my story, but that was pretty cool to see that. That and the Convoys book. I've been pulling a bit of information from that one. In y'all's research, what stood out to you as you were digging through the stuff?
cannibals, man. Like, I can't get my mind wrapped around why cannibals persist. Like, I've dug like way into exo-cannibalism. I watched like 5 or 6 different YouTube videos, 7 or 8 podcasts.
It's not because they're hungry, it's because they're crazy.
Yes, yeah, and that was the thing I settled on, was they're nuts.
And there's the possibility of some kind of plague left over from the bad years that affects people's minds.
I kind of thought maybe some sort of government engineered algae in an attempt to sort of calm down the food riots in the early days.
Yeah.
Nutty. And I love them as bad guys. Like, I'm going to be hard pressed to leave them alone as villains throughout the whole series.
Well, that's one way to terrify your enemies is if we kill you, we'll eat you.
Mm-hmm.
But it does not encourage people to surrender. So it's kind of self-limiting.
Yeah.
And unlike in Firefly, you got to worry about wind resistance. So you can't like paste the bodies on the front of your car. Alas. I mean, you can.
But... scene, though, man, that was just an awesome scene.
Oh,
you can, but they decompose.
Right. I mean, just the bones, maybe, and just like aerodynamic. Ooh. Nope, nothing.
Bushy bones. Okay.
Well, I love so I lived in Texas for 15 years. So I love the idea that these oil producing states are like, F you and your biodiesel. We are going to keep doing oil. We're going to live our lives and you cannot stop us, which is very Texas. So that checks out.
Yeah, it is.
Look, if you're cannibals, you can make biodiesel out of human fat.
I mean, you can make it out of anything, really. There are no ethics. So just go for it.
Well, with the new edition, for those who haven't played it, you want to give a little rundown of how it's played, Irene, or are you good for that? Or
yeah.
I mean, the little differences for those from the old school that are coming into the new school?
Yeah, so the biggest difference is going to be building cars. It's on these little modular cards now. So you get, I wish I'd brought them here, but yeah, so you've got a lot of little cards and you're placing them around a dashboard, and all the components keep track of a lot of the things that you'd have to be thinking about. So any damage that you're taking, if you're on fire, stuff like that, how fast you're going is all on your dashboard. And then you have cards around your dashboard to be the different things that you put on your car: guns, accessories, weapons. I already said guns. Yeah. Armor plating, stuff like that. And then when, you're hit, you can have some of those knocked off or take internal damage once that's gone. And then the biggest, some of the biggest gameplay stuff is, I think the biggest changes are eliminating phased movement was big. So everyone moves and then everyone shoots, and you move all in one go. And then collisions have sped up a lot. So because of the miniatures, you've got the cars on bases and they can actually connect with each other and push each other around the board. So instead of trying to calculate all of the different angles involved with whatever you're doing, you're pushing little cars and pushing people into other cars. It's a lot of fun.
It's what happens.
Yeah.
No more calculation. The only thing I would add to that is the custom dice.
Yes. The dice really, yeah.
That speeds things up.
Yeah, the symbols are really cool and dual purpose. So it's symbolic multicolored dice.
Oh crap, what is it you call it? The guide piece that you use. That
the movement gauge.
Yeah, that really makes doing the maneuvers easy. Especially, okay, you got to figure out, okay, what do you got to roll? You got to roll this, and this, depending on what kind of maneuver you're doing. And it after the first time around, it wasn't hard to get caught up. And by the second round, it's like, okay, cool. I know what we're doing. Let's do this. And we're getting on with it. And, well, I mean, we got Woods playing it with no problem.
That says a lot right there.
About that thing. That was not in the first edition of Car Wars. That was a gamer suggestion around the second or third edition. And it was just brilliant. We ended up hiring the guy. Seriously.
Well, like playing Warhammer and things like that, we'd have like a stick that was a certain length, and okay, there's your movement that you could do, or just trying to guess if we had terrain playing BattleTech and things like that. That piece there to do the turns, that's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, the original turning key was a very funny shape, and you put things along its sides. And the modern ones, you can't say guns enough. Guns, guns, guns.
We got Japan watching us too.
Yeah, the new one, it's printed on the surface of the turning key, and the auto bases are transparent. So you look through and see how you are lined up.
Okay.
Also, got to give a shout out to the best item to offer new players and see if they accept, because it's free. The armored beer fridge.
Yes.
Oh yeah, you gotta have that.
Yeah. Will soak up a little bit of damage and make you a much worse driver.
Yep.
Well, I absolutely threw that into the car that my main character is going to be running around in, just because it's like, well, I mean, the Dave character, yeah, he puts the beer fridge in the thing. Are there any additional tracks that you can get besides what comes in the main box set?
Oh, yeah. We sell different play mats, and we've got some more that were supposed to show up in the warehouse yesterday, in fact, and I hope they did. But yes, you don't need anything but a flat featureless table to play on, but it's much more fun if you've got obstacles.
Yeah. Are you going to have Car Wars stuff? I know we're going to be playing at Nerdy Gras, but you going to have other stuff there, like with a table, or?
I don't understand. You mean, will we have terrain? Heck yes.
Well, I mean, no. Will you have a table set up for folks to get stuff at Nerdy Gras?
Oh, a dealer table.
Yeah.
Gene McGuire is going to be running a dealer table there. I don't know how much Car Wars stuff she will have, because that big box is very bulky to ship.
Mm-hmm.
So what we'll probably do is send people to Gigabytes to spend their money there. That's the local game store.
Okay. Because if there's like game mats and stuff, I might pick up a couple of those too.
Will you be selling STL files and stuff for terrain and things like that, so that people can 3D print that kind of stuff?
Eventually, probably so. The first set of STLs we did was just vehicles and components. But I think you could do some good STL terrain as long as it's exaggerated or what's the opposite of exaggerated? Diminished in the vertical scale, so it's convenient to put on the table.
Yeah.
Didn't Uncle Al's Arena Supplies make it into the Carnage?
Yeah,
there's
when he said terrain, I was thinking of ground. But you're right. There are traffic barrels and cones and Jersey barriers and things like that as part of the set.
My buddy Bo, who is over in Japan, he runs a little bar diner thing over there. Are there Car Wars signs that he could get to hang up over in the bar?
Cute. I don't know if we've got anything like that. The one behind Irene is like a one and only.
Okay, so like a standard poster size?
That's actually a convention banner.
You stole a convention banner from Steve?
They were selling them at FNordCon. I bought it with money.
Hey, that's legit.
But I'll tell you, if Bo wanted to take a cover or something and take it to whatever the Japanese quick print is and make a sign, I would not complain. I'd think it was free advertising.
Okay.
Yeah.
For the record, I did not pay for the Gamma booth sign. That one was
Yeah.
I like this clarification. This is very important.
Are there any plans on expanding out the cars a little bit more? I mean, you've already got what? There's 8, 12 different designs.
Oh, lots more than that.
Okay, so I missed that part then.
Yeah, we even put some of them in the new Kickstarter campaign.
Okay.
And at some point, there will be motorcycles.
There's,
Oh, cool.
There's 36 now, right? Cars.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
Okay,
the thing
yeah, I'm
about
waiting for that.
motorcycles is they're popcorn. They don't last very well.
Wow.
They fall over.
Yeah.
They,
Brain work.
just nobody builds motorcycles to accept 50 caliber fire as a natural part of their environment.
This is true.
I would
That
like
would be
somebody out
kinda
there to
bad to be running from.
challenge accept it though.
Dave, I liked your showing the GURPS auto duel. I only
Yeah.
have the old one, but
Yeah, that's
when talking about that, cross country rally, I definitely was thinking about how good of an RPG that would make. So
oh yeah, yeah. That
Yeah, Hillbilly has dreams of seeing all of this more RPGized again. I think that'd be great if we can manage it.
yeah, like an updated GURPS auto duel with some sections on the different race teams and the vehicles and the locations.
Well,
Yeah.
using
Well,
the current game set, there's no reason why you can't, because I mean that's your combat section. You can still RPG it. I mean, there's times that we're sitting there playing D&D and nothing happens on the board because we're all doing this and this and this and this, and then okay, combat time. So,
Well, the GURPS vehicle combat system isn't terrible either.
It's slower than the modern Car Wars by a factor of 5 or 6. So I think the thing to do would be to graft a role-playing system for the characters onto regular Car Wars.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm a big fan of miniature games that have a campaign element to them, and I think that would be a really fun format for Car Wars. In Necromunda, how you have a gang and you have lasting injuries, you have to replace people.
yeah.
Manage a team of cars.
Yeah.
Oh God. So
That's technically what we're doing with this series.
It is.
Because we're working in teams.
Well, each of the packs are leaving out from their home city, and
working
they have
together.
to make the checkpoints. And as they get through the checkpoints, they learn where the next one is, and they have to go through these challenges. I mean, besides cannibals and gangs and stuff like that in the way, you're going to have raiders out there hitting things up, and just random stuff that happened to them on the road.
No, yeah, the packs are great because you get a whole bunch of like born to die characters, like ready to use.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And well, I'm actually having a hard time getting rid of some of those side characters that are in my pack because like these guys are just fun to play with, and I don't want to get rid of them.
The way you get your points is to have your character survive. I mean, that's what you were talking about, working on a point system. The more of your people that survive in that pack when they get to the city, the more points you make, the more money you make.
Yeah, and
so it's more about survival than it is about speed.
Yeah, and depending on who's doing
he hates
what.
to kill off any of the characters. Well, some of them have gold cross, and some of them are going to stay dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, in a 10-day race, gold cross is
pulling
almost
off,
useful.
depending on who's pulling off epic maneuvers and doing these just beautiful things of helping each other out, something like that, there's extra points they can earn as the rally's going on. The viewers watching can award points at certain times of the rally, and they can get donations and helping hands. Hey, they need this part, give them that part, and, help on to the next leg. So there's going to be all kinds of twists and turns in this.
Like the Voice and Death Race got together and had a child.
And the object you want to keep your characters alive as long as you can, because if they die, they're out of the race. They may still have a gold cross, but they're done for the race.
Yeah, because their clone is not going to come back in time to compete anymore.
Exactly. So if your character dies, then they're done, for the race.
One thing that I I envisioned when this started coming together, and I started pitching it all the other authors. Like, you take Death Race, mix it with WWE, mix it with America's Got Talent, because it's all about the bread and the circus, keeping everybody happy, entertained, and just doing nothing else.
And then let it have a love child with Hunger Games.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, we're coming up to the end of the hour. Hide. There we go. Stupid buttons. There. Work. So anybody got anything they want to go ahead and quick plug what you got otherwise besides Car Wars that you're working on before we wrap up, and where can they find your stuff? Ladies first.
She's sneaking away.
I was starting to because I have a prop. So
hold it still.
I can't. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Can you see?
Chicks in
tank tops. Okay.
Yeah. So let me be clear. It's a chick. Hold on, I can't find it. Chick. She's in a tank top. Huh?
Yeah.
Clever. So that's where I have my latest release. It's with Bane. It's age-old story of girls in their tanks, in the grand tradition of chicks in tank tops. Sorry, this is chicks in tank tops. Chicks in chainmail. So super fun stories. And the novel I'm about to turn in that will come out next year is a 40-year later continuation of my short story in this. So you can find more mauricewolf.com, mauricewolf.net. But you should definitely get Chicks in Tank Tops because it's good for everybody.
And congratulations for being the latest Bane author.
Oh, thank
Yes.
you.
That is beautiful, Marisa.
Well earned, well deserved.
Yep.
Thanks, cool kids. You guys are awesome.
All right, Ben.
What am I doing? I just got back.
What do you want to
You're
plug in?
plugging
Where
your
can
new
people
stuff.
find
Your
you?
plugging
latest thing, or what you working on besides Car Wars?
Well, the next book I have coming out that I have to finish before I can get to the Car Wars thing is my first Necrolopolis novel. For those of you who have read any of my short stories or haven't, Necrolopolis is a dark fantasy universe where anyone who comes back as undead ultimately ends up in the city of Necrolopolis. Some 4 million undead live there. And it's up to one world-weary necromancer to keep them all in line, or he loses his job. It is quite a fun ride, quite an irritating ride for the protagonist. I'm hoping the first book will be an excellent one. And then there's Car Wars, and then the next big thing, a short story of mine coming out is going to be in a anthology that Kevin J. Anderson is coming out with called Merciless Mermaids. Tales from the Deep, and in that I'm writing about a pirate and a knight teaming up to hunt merfolk. It is a lot of fun.
Dave.
There you go. Well, I'm going to plug the one and only thing that I have published, which is Desperate Ground and JTF 13's Legend. And this anthology is slap full of some really cool, big damn heroes doing big damn hero stuff. Besides that, I've got 72 Hours of Graceland, which is a Car Wars novel I'm working on. A short story called Fourth Time Lucky for the anthology that'll feature a hard-boiled gumshoe and car warrior who's just keeps waking up dead. And then kind of waiting in the background for revision and turning in is a novel called Quid Pro Quo, which is set in the JTF 13 universe.
Oh, Hillbilly, did you mention that anthology just won an award?
Not yet, but it was on I got my list over here.
All right, just making sure. Just making sure.
Michael.
So for new releases, I have the Crossways book from Three Ravens Publishing, which of course is the main novel for the Sam Bridger story. We also had 2 Sam Bridger stories come out in anthologies in the last month or so. Beyond the Car Wars anthology, which I turned into you, I think it was this morning. I've got 5 novels prepped up and coming out. A sequel to Faye West, a sequel to Dumpstermancer, my new Mom Atomic middle-aged, single, pregnant, and with superheroes storyline. and a lit RPG, and of course the coming remaster for Scion Rising. So,
Okay.
Oh, and you can get me at deliriousscribbles.com.
Woods.
Well, you saw the preview at the beginning of this thing for Bent, Annoyed with Lloyd. That's the most recent thing I've got out. And if all goes right, I'll have Car Wars done by the end of next month, and then I can go back to Legend and finish that trilogy up, as well as Another Fallen World and Soul Guard.
And then at some point we need to finish the Smuggler set and
Yeah,
be done with that one.
And you can find my stuff at professionalliar.com.
Do we need to tell your daddy you're getting mouthy again, Nick?
He's
Yeah,
just
but he's
he's
right.
just talking the truth right
right.
there.
That's right. Annoyed with Lloyd is real good.
I got to pick on him because I can. All right. Well, Steve, Irene, what else y'all got coming out from Steve Jackson Games?
Oh, more fantasy stuff for the Fantasy Trip game, and more STL files for people who want to build a dungeon.
Okay.
What about Caligula?
And Caligula, that's true. Drinking game.
Well, now, okay, you just had the Illuminati release on Steam, which it's the first time I got to play it, and I'm loving it.
Great.
I want to actually learn more of how to play it better.
And
Played it nerdy.
the Munchkin game is also on Steam. And I
And that
heard
was
from the studio this afternoon that they're very happy with the way it's doing, and they had questions about adapting a half dozen of the cards from the next supplement to their game. So they're working away.
Oh, there's a good question. With the special LibertyCon cards, are they going to get included on the Steam game?
There's no reason they can't if the studio is interested. That's Direwolf.
That would be interesting.
I would say that won't happen right away, but there's no bar against it. What I'm hoping is that the game will continue to do well enough that it will have a continuing live team of at least one coder, and then there can be special cards for holidays and so on coming out all the time.
Okay.
I'm still pitching for that Car Wars Munchkin crossover.
That's a frightening thought.
I didn't want it before, but I want it now.
I want to see a crossover between Munchkin and Monopoly, just so we can use the name Munchkinopoly.
Oh, God.
Yes.
Well, and if we do that, we can then take the car from Monopoly and roll that into Car Wars. We have a trifecta going on.
Full circle.
Well, the first time I ever got to play Munchkin was the Steam game. I bought that after I saw it on there, and I was like, "Dang, this is fun!" So this week while I was working down at Brandy's house, I was staying at Rich and Tish's, and we played. I guess we played 4 or 5 games of Munchkin night before last.
Okay.
And that was the first time I've ever played, the physical played Munchkin. It was great. It's a very fun game.
Munchkin normally gets pulled out at least once a week at the house. I mean, Bubba, he just absolutely loves that game and adores it. He comes up with ideas like, well, why didn't they do this? I don't know. You want to ask him? No. Ask him. We can send him a message. No.
Well, one of these days I'll be over there for Sketty, and you can get him to get his nerve up and ask.
Oh, we'll absolutely have Sketty dinner again after LibertyCon. You tell us what you want. We can do more than Sketty.
I'm looking forward to it.
Same.
Okay, so besides Burning Roads being my next one to come out, it all depends on the release schedule and how everybody's doing on their other books. I may knock out another Car Wars novel. If not, then I'm going back to Blacktooth Grin, which will be the first modern age JTF novel. All the other stuff has been historical fiction. So that's our legacy series for JTF. After that, it'll be Shepherd's Call, possibly. The first book in the Black Wish universe.
You skipped one.
It all depends on what happens with Car Wars, because that's the primary project right now for Three Ravens. And if I need to fill in some extra slots, I fill in some extra slots. So, But other than that, okay, time for my list. I got a list. Okay, don't forget to check out the open call section from Three Ravens Publishing, which needs updated right now. It's Trailer Park Volume 3 is up for open call, and we've already been getting submissions in. Phil Booker is going to be my lead editor on that one, who's sitting over there on our little writing retreat. Don't forget about the Discord server. If you want a community of like-minded individuals and creators, go check it out. We got a good crew over there. We toss around ideas all the time. We run writing sprints. It's fun. Let's see. We've got the Squirrel's Nest group on Facebook for random story ideas. There is a Car Wars fan or fiction fan page now on Facebook that you can join up on. Our latest releases, The Feather in the Lamp by Ellen Hunter. It's a nice little cozy fantasy. Crossways by Michael J. Allen, the first book of the Wayman Chronicles. If you like Big Trouble in Little China with a little bit of sci-fi tossed in, you're going to like it. It's got that 80s action cheese. Annoyed with Lloyd, Christopher Woods, the first of the Bent series. Superheroes. Dwarves of Rom, Omens of War, the latest epic fantasy by Michael K. Falciani. It's right on par with his Raven and the Crow series, which it's in the same world, just another section. And Legends. Hold it up there again, Dave. You're going solo. So Legends, JTF anthology that we recently released, took the Helicon Award for the best military sci-fi fantasy. That is epic. We are in good company because the other people on that list were like David Weber and Eric Flint, Casey Azell, Larry Correa.
Yeah.
We're in very good company with that one. Timothy Zahn was another one. I thought it was a mistake. I'm like, what's going on? That just blew me away. I mean, two years in a row, we're an award-winning publishing company. So that's just beautiful, man. And the JTF series has been just fun to play, and we get to play with historical fiction, and now we're moving into a modern, more thriller action style series. Check out our affiliates if you get a chance. Sci-Fi.radio. Great guys with nerd music, nerd and geek fandom stuff going on all the time. Filk. They have a morning show for them, but it's like lunchtime on the East Coast. Good Morning Tatooine, and they've got their own Discord chat. The We Defy Foundation, it's a military PTSD help, where they're using jiu-jitsu to help veterans to deal with their stuff. Marked Up Editing, run by a good friend of ours, Maya, Cleve. Good lady. She's actually going to be getting tapped for a couple of projects I got coming up here lately. And the Silly Lady Pepper Company, and she's not going to burn me yet. She keeps trying to make hot sauce that burns me, but it don't. Okay, so anyone interested in going to Superstars, I don't know if we might be too close for you to actually sign up at this point, but if you go to the Three Ravens website, you'll see the code to get $100 off your registration. Don't forget to check out Riders of the Future. It's a very good contest that is free to enter. So like, follow, subscribe. All of our people that are on here, check them out, see what they got. You got some good fiction and good fandom to follow. But I'm your host, William Joseph Roberts. Thank y'all for tuning in, TDB Pirate Radio, and we will catch y'all on the flip side. And where's my freaking button? There it is. Bye.
Bye.